Well, welcome in. It is episode 104 here of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. Got a loaded show for you guys. We got NFL. November marches on. We're approaching the conclusion. Got a little bit of a quiet week uh, of college football coming up this week, but that's with the SEC playing their FCS team. But sometimes and kind of their weaker opponents, but sometimes that's better because that's when you just when you think you're falling asleep, that's when that sport reels you back in, wakes you back up. We could be getting some exciting games, some sleeper games outside of Georgia, Tennessee. There's really not a whole lot going on in the SEC, but Pac-12 November has been a very good month as far as parity and excitement. We have already started to see the coaching carousel in full swing as Jimbo Fisher has been fired. Boise State has fired their coach. Mississippi State is going to be looking for a new head coach as well. And Brady Hoke announced his retirement, so San Diego State is also going to be looking for a new head coach. And I'm sure there's going to be more and more dominoes to fall. But as always, we're going to recap week 10 in the NFL, and then week 11 in college football, and then preview the weeks ahead. The Trinity Titans, unfortunately, were not able to come home with a state championship title, and we lost to a very, very good Kindred team. It was one of those games, Grant, where if it could have went wrong, it did. We just got off to a poor start, and against a good team like Kindred, we weren't quite able to overcome our mistakes. And Kindred being the good team they were, they capitalized, took advantage of it. And do we have? Oh, he's back. He's back. Ethan, after serving.
You doubted me.
After serving a 2-week suspension for putting his Christmas decorations up before November and even before Thanksgiving, he is back.
That's fighting words if you ask Hannah. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't care. She's wrong.
Well, to each their own.
Yeah.
But in Ethan's defense, it wasn't before November. It was just before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was before because I'm pretty sure we maybe. Okay, well, whatever. It's still too early, nonetheless. And it doesn't even really feel a whole lot like winter or cold here because we had a 65-degree day in Dickinson today, so that was really nice. Before, I'm sure it's going to get colder, but I don't really want to think about it. But I suppose we can just jump right into our week 11 NFL or week 10 NFL recap, excuse me. And as always, we're going to be doing the draft. And now, Ethan, have you ever gotten the first pick?
I've not. Still
you
have not.
Okay.
That's crazy.
All right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So with the first pick in the Three Guys Talking Ball episode 104 draft, the first pick is gonna be. Oh, would you look at that? Me. Second pick.
Suspicious.
Grant. And Ethan.
What else is new on last again? This is so rigged. It's just like the NFL.
Yep. It is. That's right.
The script is out, and Ethan's never going to get the first pick. I'm never going to get
the first pick at this point. No.
Who knows? Maybe we could just keep trying to leg it on as long as we want, or to really add some suspense to it. What we could do is we could add, we could go by a division where we pick the North is Ethan, the NFC North is Ethan, the AFC West is Grant, the NFC East is me, just to see, and whoever gets it. Maybe that might be a way to rig it to help Ethan get the first pick.
I have an idea. Or change it up next week, Dylan, depending on how many helmets you have. Put the division rival, your biggest division rival, in there. So, if it were a Packers helmet, Ethan gets the first pick. If it were an Eagles helmet, Dylan would get it still represents us, but not our team. Maybe Ethan just Maybe Ethan just needs a little Wisconsin good luck. That's what I'm saying.
No,
Maybe.
Let's pick the teams we don't want, because I'd for sure pick the Saints. I hate the Saints.
Or the Saints. Or, yeah, it doesn't have to be a division team, but it could be a team, like you said, who you dislike. So
It could.
maybe Ethan. Maybe Ethan.
Hate that idea.
Maybe Ethan just needs a little rivalry in his life.
Yeah.
That could be it. Sometimes you have to go back to go forwards.
That is correct.
And so my surprise team here in the NFL for Week 10, and it's not actually a team, it's a player whose season actually it was just announced on Wednesday that his season is over, but it's going to be Deshaun Watson. Didn't get off to a great start. Started the game off with a pick six. He 6 of 20, his first 20 passes, and then in the second half, what does he do? Goes on 14 straight completions, finishes 20 of 34, 213 yards passing, another 37 on the ground. Finds a way to lead the Browns back to a win on the road, and the defense got a pick six. They had stops when they needed it. Myles Garrett is for sure in the MVP candidate. Zadarius Smith has been a nice pairing to him as well. But you got to give it up to Deshaun Watson. Everybody had him written off, especially this podcast included. We thought he was done with his shoulder, and well, unfortunately now he is officially done, but just adds to the gutsiness, the gritty performance that he put out there on Sunday. And that's why Deshaun Watson is my surprise player of the week.
Deshaun looking like Clemson Deshaun out there in the second half on Sunday.
That's right. He did.
But for me, guys, I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals this week. Just picking up.
Welcome back, Kyler Murray.
Welcome back, Kyler Murray. Second win of the year. You know, Arizona gets, like I said, their second win. Kyler's welcome back game. Excuse me. And you know, all things considered, coming back from an ACL with not a whole lot of help around him, I don't think Kyler played too bad. You know, 19 of 32 for 249 yards, the one interception. No touchdowns, but he did have that big scramble on the last drive that helped Arizona go kick the game-winning field goal. And, you know, let's call a spade a spade. This team is probably the least talented team in the NFL. They're not going to win a lot of games this year. They're going to end up 3-14, 4-13. They don't have a whole lot going for them, but, you know, they played a good game on Sunday and get a win. And then rookie BJ Ojalaria, I think that's how you say his name, the outside linebacker who played at LSU. He had 2 sacks on Sunday. You know, in his last 3 games, he's had 3 in the last 3 weeks. You know, looks like they got a nice piece there to build for the future on for Jonathan Gannon's defense. And, you know, a game that Atlanta probably thought, hey, we could win this game, stay in the AFC South race. But Arizona, like I said, they're not going to be good, but they're going to fight hard. And they got a big win. I didn't think a win they'd get. I thought Atlanta would cover. I think it was just like a 1.5. But
half a point.
Half a point. I thought Atlanta would do it. And who knows? Maybe if Kyler can continue to play like this, Arizona doesn't need a quarterback in this year's draft, and Atlanta does big time. And who knows? Maybe Arizona can get Larry Fitzgerald 2.0 and Marvin Harrison Jr. Who knows?
Yeah. That Arizona game, Grant, that was the only bet I lost in the NFL slate this weekend.
Okay.
And I thought for sure that was going to be the go-to. That was going to be the surefire win, but it was not.
I'm going to go down to Dylan's favorite city. We're going to Houston. More specifically, CJ Stroud. He was already having a great rookie year. I actually legitimately think he should be talked about in the MVP conversation now after this weekend. 356 yards. He doesn't have a true one receiver. Nico Collins is good. He didn't play. Former Cowboy, right? Noah Brown damn near puts up 200, 172. And then 2 guys that are rookies, basically. Tank Dell and John Mechie, who obviously didn't play last year. And he goes up to the Bengals, like the reigning AFC title game. They're actually getting their stuff together. They're starting to look like a team. Then they go put 600 yards damn near up on these guys. Like, that is just absolutely nuts. And some of the throws he's making, yeah, he had a terrible throw that kind of even made the game closer than what it should have been. But even then, recomposed himself, went back down, got him in field position to kick the field goal. So, like, incredible game from CJ.
It's kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
The way
and as you talk about Noah Brown, I'm actually adding him to my fantasy roster.
He missed practice today with a knee injury, so don't get too crazy.
Shit.
It's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
If he misses Friday, then you got to be worried.
Yep.
But it's only Wednesday. And this late in the year, everyone's banged up. No one practices in the NFL anymore, so we'll see.
All right. I guess it's still me.
Oh yeah, no, but
for disappointing team, to me, there's really only one team. Yeah, disappointing team, right?
It's your call, Ethan.
Yeah, it's got to be the Jaguars. Like were just. I get San Francisco's getting healthier. They got Chase Young, whatever, but you're still 6-2. You've been playing fantastic the last 4 weeks, and then you just go lay a dud. Trevor Lawrence looked like he's never played football before. ETN only 9 carries. I get it was a blowout, but even then, still
he's been their offense. He's been their offense.
He's literally their offense. You got to get the ball. Calvin Ridley, how many? He only had 3 targets. The dude's your number one. You got to get him the ball. No offense to Doug Peterson, great coach. Awful game plan from him this week.
And to do it off a bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off a bye. When he works with Andy Reid, you should be great coming off the bye.
Mm-hmm. Dearness Johnson had as many targets as Calvin Ridley. Whoever the hell Dearness Johnson is, I have no idea.
I'm not going to lie. That name doesn't even sound familiar. It's one of those where you're like, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, he played here, there, and there. It's like, this dude, I'm like, who? Who the hell is this guy?
He's a Texas guy. I feel like he's Texas.
Well, it's a name like Dearness. He's definitely from the South.
Oh, nope, South Florida.
Okay.
Close enough. Florida man.
Close enough.
Yeah, Florida man. He's danced with an alligator or two in his life.
Oh, yeah.
My dad and we went to the NDSU game this weekend, and there was a guy for the Bison. He's I don't even know the year, but his name is, I think it's Jaquise Alexander. And of course I look him up on the roster. He's from Florida. My dad, I look over to my dad and go, yeah, his name's Jaquise and he's from Florida. He's a ball player, Dad.
Oh yeah. you can't get around that.
Nope.
My turn. Yeah, because I'm number 2 here.
Yeah.
My disappointing team. Ethan talked about the winning team from this game. I'm going to go with the losing team, and that was the Cincinnati Bengals. Like Ethan said, they're getting their stuff together. They won. What did they win? 3 in a row? 4 in a row coming into Sunday. You beat the Niners. You go on your bye. You come back. You beat the Bills at home. This is the same Joe Burrow team. It's like, hey, they're a lock for the AFC Championship game. Life is good. They just beat Buffalo, and then on Sunday you lay that egg. You give up 30 points at home to the Texans. And like Ethan said, I get it. CJ's playing at an MVP level, but with the defense Cincinnati has, without a true number one, and you let them go up and down the field, and Cincinnati's offensive line, I've been critical about them all year. They gave up 4 sacks on Sunday, 3 of them to one player.
Only 66 rushing yards too.
66 rushing yards and 3 sacks to Sheldon Rankins. Like, you give up 3. A defensive tackle gets 3 sacks. A defensive tackle gets 3 sacks in the game. You're going to lose that game, and you weren't playing Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl. This is Sheldon Rankins, a failed first-round pick here. Come on now. And their defense. Hey, you get 3 turnovers. That's great. Well, Joe Burrow gave it to Houston twice. So you're only +1 in the turnover battle. And then Joe Mixon only had 13 touches all day. You look at Cincinnati last year when they were rolling, it was a combination of Pirine and Mixon. So I think the Bengals, they got to, especially with these receivers being hurt, I feel like you got to get Mixon the ball more. And they just didn't do that. And maybe they were looking ahead to Baltimore on the short week this week. But to be here and then, drop 3 or 4 steps and have to play 4 days later against a division opponent that just lost, not a good look in Cincinnati. And I'm upset with them. Disappointed for sure.
Well, you said it, Grant. You talked about Joe Mixon kind of being the keys to that offense. And when they do run the ball, they are such a they are such a better team, but then Zach Taylor gets in his funks where he just forgets, oh, I have one of the best running backs in the NFL. Why would I want to use him?
And then one more thing, I forgot to say this in my notes. If Cincinnati wants to win, I feel like Joe Mixon needs 18 to 22 touches a game. I'm not saying rushing attempts, but 18 to 22 times that man touches the ball, good things are going to happen in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. And for my disappointing team, because you guys actually took both the Jaguars and the Bengals, and I kind of just had this one in my back pocket because I didn't really think, I thought I would get one of those two, but I didn't. I'm going to go with the New York Jets. Zach Wilson is not it. We can stop talking like he's going to be some stopgap quarterback. No. And even and there's talk about Aaron Rodgers saying himself that he wants to be back by mid-December. If you're the New York Jets, you have to watch what's going on out on the field. And that offensive line cannot protect anybody. And if you put Aaron Rodgers out there with already a bad Achilles, you're just asking for him to get hurt again. Just cut your losses, move on. I don't know if Robert Saleh is a good head coach. I don't think the defense is overly great and talked about the way they are. I think they might be good for your fantasy football, but it seems like situationally they're not. They can't get off the field on third down. They got a couple of nice pieces, but a lot of missed tackles on Sunday night. Sauce Gardner doesn't look like what he was as a rookie. The pass rush can't get home. There's a lot of questions for New York, and they're better off just cutting their losses, making sure they shore up that offensive line so Aaron Rodgers can come back to start 2024 healthy and 100%.
Well, and even the Jets, like the misses they've had this offseason, guys. I understand you could say, well, if Rodgers was playing, Allen Lazard would be a better player. Randall Cobb was out on Sunday. We all knew he was going to get hurt and was only going to play 10 games this year.
I kind of forgot Randall Cobb was on the team, actually.
Yeah,
yeah. You don't hear anything about him at all.
No, CJ, was it Usman? They signed last year from Cincinnati.
Uzama can't block anybody. Had two holding calls that cost him touchdowns.
The only time he's played this year was when Zach Wilson went BYU mode when he saw Donna Kelsey in the suite against the Chiefs and was like, hey, there's a mom in the building. I'm going to go off. But besides that, his last highlight is from Cincinnati in that Super Bowl. Like I said, Lazard, Ethan was on this, the advanced metrics for Dalvin Cook.
Oh, just terrible.
Terrible. So shout out to Ethan for nailing that one right there.
Thank you.
And again, you draft Will McDonald. He hasn't seen the field because, is it Franklin Myers? Jonathan Franklin Myers? That sounds right. He's a better pass rusher than him. So you waste a first-round pick on a position you didn't even need. But they go, Joe Douglas goes, yeah, with Aaron Rodgers, we feel like we're gonna have the lead a lot and we're gonna be able to rush the passer. Well, when you can't protect your quarterback, you don't get that opportunity. So sorry to hijack your thing here, Dylan.
Oh no, you're good. You Jets, added to that.
The Jets are just a dysfunctional organization from head down. And we're seeing it. And to your point, I don't think Robert Saleh is a head coach. I think he's a good defensive coordinator and a motivator, but he's not a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I called this back during when Hard Knocks was going on about Will McDonald. I said once the guy pierced his eyebrow, I'm out. I'm done with him. No grown man should ever be piercing his eyebrows. That's actually I think of all of piercings on the body, I think eyebrow and lip, though, and like the middle part of your nose. If you have any of those three, I'm out on you. You're done. You shouldn't be allowed to function in society.
You don't want to date a bull?
No, I don't.
I'm gonna put a padlock around there and lock that.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of is when chicks have like their what's it called, septum? I think is that what it is, the middle of the bridge in your nose,
like that.
I have no idea.
It reminds me of when I was out on the farm branding, and to make sure the calf doesn't like pull away, is we put like a little clip thing in their nose and you pull so that way when they're getting branded, they aren't jerking all over the place. It kind of holds them steady. That's what I think of as when you get like your septum pierced in your nose, is you're just a calf being branded.
I think you're also just a crazy person who does no good for society. And you have some sort of flaw in your life, and you need people to look at you like, accept me for who I am. Love me because I don't love myself.
Clearly they have daddy issues and their parents didn't love them enough.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So, before we get too off topic here, let's go down to...
Boy, I'm not going to get any new fans after tonight. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, it was Veterans Day. You also hate the troops because you called boomers soft.
Well, boomers aren't. Boomers are soft, so... and to that person on TikTok who told you that I'm an asshole, and she goes, I don't even think you can do 10 push-ups. Well, I hate to break it to you, girl. I can do 10 push-ups. And I know Dylan.
Let's see it right now.
I don't have the camera.
I don't know.
No,
yeah, you just put the camera facing it and just do 10.
All right, fine. All right, fine.
Do it. There
Does this work?
Oh boy.
This works. Oh, we got live push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Whoa, he's going farther.
Grant, calm down, buddy. Calm down.
Yep, just like Stewie Griffin said, when you got to get a pump in when you can. So,
what'd you do there? Was that like 25?
About 20.
20, okay. Huh?
Yeah, about 20.
Hey, there you go.
But to also my other point, not only can I do 10 push-ups, I can also, for reps, dumbbell bench the 120s, 3x8. So, suck it, internet lady. I'm better than you.
Oh, Grant, save some women for the rest of us, okay?
It doesn't work like that.
That's not what that.
It's funny. It's just like the memes on the internet, Dylan. You think, oh, look at this big, strong guy. All these women are going to be after you. Nope. It's not how it works.
Yep, that's true. But let's go to our Told You So team. And I'm up, so I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley is a joke of a head coach. He is terrible. He was hired because he has this great defensive mind, great defensive acumen, but they can't stop anybody. And this franchise, I think if you're a quarterback, I understand why Eli and Archie just said we're not going to play for the Chargers, because Justin Herbert is a tremendous quarterback. This stat is wild. They scored on their last 5 drives and still lost the game.
Pretty incredible.
I don't know how many times that happens where you score on your final 5 drives of the game and still lose. And Justin Herbert's basically going to be Phillip Rivers 2.0 because the Chargers cannot get out of their own way.
Well, they need a new coach.
And to your point, Dylan, on the Chargers, on offense, we have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, big body receivers, but they can't separate and they don't make explosive plays down the field. So who are we going to draft? Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison are on the board. They fit that mold. You know what? Let's get Quentin Johnston. Let's get another big body guy who can't separate. Okay, so
your defense got his first touchdown though this weekend.
Hey, he did separate versus Michigan. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he did.
That he did. Oh, son of a bitch, Ethan. So he got me there.
Sorry.
But then again, with the Chargers, your defense is already porous and can't stop the run. Your best linebacker in your team is 27 years old. He just finished with 144 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks, and I think it was 2 forced fumbles. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to let him go to our biggest division rival, where he already has 3.5 sacks on the year, 53 tackles, and is filling in for Nick Bolton, and the Chiefs' defense hasn't skipped a beat. So thank you, Los Angeles, for Drew Tranquill. And we're going to replace him with Eric Kendricks. So we're going to get older and slower in the middle of our already porous defense. I love having this guy in the AFC West. It's awesome. I love it. Stanos family, you're cheap. Keep them. Keep going forward on 4th down in your own territory. Do it. Come on, Brandon.
You know, the crazy thing about that too this year is him going for it. It still hasn't completely bit him in the ass entirely somehow.
Compared to that Chiefs game in 2021 when he lost the AFC West in that game because he went for it like 6 times.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
But so my turn. And actually, Dylan, it's funny you mentioned the Chargers. They were my honorable mention team this week. Or my second team in case someone took my other team. And so with that team, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Like we've said, guys, and I think what I've said, and I've challenged them on this podcast and outside of this podcast, it's this defense hasn't played well these last 3 weeks. Well, they showed up on Sunday. Chase Young and Nick Bosa had the nice play where they both got a half sack, but besides that, still 5 total sacks on the day. One forced fumble, and you had everyone else getting to the quarterback. Farrell, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, got there. The front four, when they go, that's how that team goes. No, it's simple as that. And even, they got their running game back. Trent Williams was back. And the crazy stat here, guys, you take away their 3 rushes, their 3 knees at the end of this game. They had 27 carries for 141 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. You let Kyle Shanahan run for 5 yards a carry, you're not beating him. Simple as that. And Brock Purdy looked great, 19 to 26, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns on the afternoon. And since the world is talking about metrics and stats, blah, 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 well, his QBR was an 87.8. Anything above a 75 is an MVP level. And Sunday was his 17th start, and after 17 games, 1 full season, he's 14-3. So if they can keep this going, where the pass rush is on and they're playing complementary football, I'm not sure anyone in this league can beat this team.
They looked damn good off the bye. It helps when you have a healthy Trent Williams, healthy Deebo Samuel, with the 2 cogs that really make that offense go. Downhill running game. But there is some questions. I don't know if this running game is as good as they were because Christian McCaffrey, maybe he's lost a step, looked a little rusty off the bye. Did not get a touchdown, though, this weekend.
Oh, son of a bitch, man. Does it for 16 straight games, rushes for 99
17.
yards. It was 17, that's right. Rushes for, what was it? 99 yards I saw. Can't even get 100 yards. What is this, you bum? You getting paid all this money and you can't even get for 100 yards on the ground? Ridiculous.
Who was I going to go with? Oh, that's right. I'm doing like kind of the opposite. So I thought these guys were going to be good. They're actually terrible. So it's more like I told you so. You probably shouldn't have picked this type of thing. But the Giants. They might be the worst team in the NFL. They are so bad. They're lucky. Actually, I shouldn't say it. The Jets are lucky the Giants are so bad that no one really cares. No one notices. But football in New York, God damn, it has to be just depressing.
And they act like they are the class of the football world, too, is these New York fans.
They are just so bad.
Well, you compare the Jets and the Giants, it's like the Yankees and the Mets. The Yankees had a horrible year this year.
I would more so compare those 2 teams to the Cubs and the White Sox.
Well, that's fair, but just to keep the New York comparison going, like the Yankees couldn't hit the baseball this year. They 227 as a team, and everyone's dogging on them. But the Mets spent $600 million this offseason, and they blew it up in August. So, to Ethan's point, he's spot on. If the Giants weren't so putrid, people would be dogging the Jets more.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, it's just not a good time to be a football fan in the state of New York.
It'd be pretty
at all.
Who would have thought at all levels Rutgers would be the best football program in the New York, New Jersey area?
Oof. There's got to be a D2 that's pretty solid.
Or the high school that what's his name, Peppers went to.
Oh, I got it.
Paramus Catholic.
Sure, yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm not up on my New Jersey. I'm not up on my New Jersey. My New Jersey high school sports. So I can't really give you a definitive answer.
But God,
answer on that one.
They can't be as bad as the Giants are.
Quick time out here, guys. We have an all-time uniforms matchup going on in Phoenix right now. The T-Wolves are wearing their new whites with like the trim, tree trim.
Ooh.
That's a hard word to say.
Tree trim.
And Phoenix is wearing their all black with like the rainbow type lettering and trim.
Oh, that is a good uniform matchup.
Oh, it's very satisfying.
Is there anything better than a good uniform game? Like, let's be honest.
Nah, it's really not. I mean,
your team winning a good uniform game.
That is true. Like, you could be watching the best uniform game, and it could be Iowa Northwestern at Wrigley. The game quality is awful.
Oh no, it's just not good.
But the uniform matchup makes it almost good.
No.
And hey, let's congratulate.
I couldn't.
What was that?
Congratulate former Bison David Braun, who it sounds like will be having the interim tag removed from the interim head coach. He will be going to the full-time head coach here at Northwestern after they are one win away from making a bowl game. Not many people had that. I think
he deserves it.
Can we give him Big Ten Coach of the Year already?
Yeah, you absolutely should. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
not
over,
even
right?
for debate.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. It has to be.
I don't care who. If Michigan somehow gets in the playoff without getting hacked by the NCAA, and Ohio State somehow wins the title, I don't care. Give it to him.
Yeah, it's over.
It should be. Hands down, it should be. I mean, you could also though make the argument for Kirk Ferentz, who's had to deal with just an absolutely putrid offense, and basically have to no-show the next 2 weeks to win the Big Ten West.
Okay,
I hate you so much right now. They play the
West, buddy. Let's relax.
I saw an article on the internet the other day where some Iowa stan, one of them Iowa Hawkeye.
Oh, Ethan, did you hear that?
Yeah, I said it.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I said Iowa.
No.
You pitch a shutout and you score 2 offensive touchdowns. I'll say your state's name for a week.
The fact that they're still 16th in the college football playoff is just comical.
I was going there. Hold up. The committee is totally doing this to somehow set up Michigan to be the number 1 team. Hear me out.
Okay.
Because they're going to say they won on the road against a top 10 Penn State team. And then eventually they won a top 4 matchup against Ohio State. And let's say Iowa does their thing and they win the next 2 games. If they get to like 14 or 13, then Michigan can be like, hell, even if they get to 12, they can be like, hey, we got 3 top 12 wins in our resume. What do these other schools have? Georgia didn't play anyone in the non-conference. Florida State plays in the ACC. It's almost like the committee is getting ready to give the NCAA the giant middle finger by giving Michigan the 1 seed because they've beaten 3 top 12 teams.
They could. Well, there's also that. I mean, Missouri is also number 9 in the playoff rankings too. But
I mean, I guess how they do versus Illinois this week. Illinois is hot right now.
They are, and I guess that's a good transition into our college football week 11 recap for teams of the week. So Ethan, who do you have for your team of the week?
I'm going. I went off the grid a couple weeks ago. I'm going Central Florida. Absolutely dismantling Oklahoma State, 45-3. Honestly, Oklahoma State, Texas, they were on a crash course, I should say, to meet the Big 12 championship. That thing is so messed up right now. There's like 4, 5, and 2 teams. Texas is 6-1. Like a lot of weird stuff is happening in the Big 12. The race is actually fascinating. The teams might not be the greatest, but it's a hell of a lot better than the Big 10 West. So that was just a great game. They absolutely just beat the hell out of them. How you can still rank Oklahoma State after that is kind of surprising to me.
Well, especially
it sets up a very interesting race because I think right now, Oklahoma State, if the season were to end today, Oklahoma State would still be playing Texas in Dallas. But
I don't know what the tiebreaker is.
I want to know what happened in that game because I saw the line and I actually bet Oklahoma State. It was Oklahoma State minus 2.5. And I looked at it as like Central Florida's like won 3 or 4 games this year. Oklahoma State's going to roll them. And then I look at the score, 45-3. What happened?
Well, then my Jayhawks get upset because their backup quarterback gets hurt. The third string comes in. He hasn't played football in his life. I think this guy that picked him off out of like chemistry school or something. He was so bad.
Well, Texas Tech just put on a good performance because Pat Mahomes was there.
That's fair.
That could be.
But also, I think, does Oklahoma State still have the tiebreaker because they beat Iowa State?
Maybe that might be it. Yeah, I think Iowa State's actually number 3.
Well, is Kansas State still there?
Kansas State's 5-2. Kansas State's... I think Oklahoma's 5-2 too.
Oklahoma is 5-2. Yeah.
And Oklahoma and Kansas State don't play each other.
No.
And then Iowa State, Kansas play this week. Iowa State, Texas play this week.
Iowa State, Texas play this week.
I mean, if they beat Texas, I mean,
we could see this game in 2 weeks again. Utter chaos.
And if Iowa State upsets Texas this week,
they're going to be
12 is not getting a team in. No,
and Texas, who knows? Texas under Sark, then they might snowball and totally miss the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, I don't know how the tiebreakers would go.
Could you imagine the last year in the Big 12 and we get Oklahoma State, Iowa State in the Big 12 title game?
God, that'd be so cool. Or Kansas State makes it in there again. They have Kansas this week.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
crazy.
Utter chaos in the Big 12. But would we have it any other way?
No.
Nope.
I guess it's my turn again.
It is.
Guys, I'm going to stick in the SEC here. I'm going to go with Alabama, and maybe not the team, but Jalen Milroe. This dude is playing football at a just absolutely ridiculous level right now. Alabama scores, 42 points on Saturday? 6 touchdowns? Jalen Milroe was responsible for all 6 of them. He's been on an absolute tear since he got benched at that USF game.
Nick Saban knows what he's doing.
I was just going to say that. Maybe Saban was like, I got to bench this guy so my team rallies around the quarterback who I know should be the starter, and this is going to light a fire underneath his ass. So who would have thought Nick Saban knew what he was doing to get a college football player motivated? And Jalen, you asked me, he's low key kind of a Heisman candidate right now. If they're going to win their next 2 games. They're going to beat Chattanooga and Auburn, and they're going to kill him. If this Alabama team could pull off an upset against Georgia, and he's got 300 total yards and let's say 4 tutties, I think he's a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah.
And this Alabama shocker here, this Alabama defense is dominant. On Saturday, they had 3 sacks again. But the more impressive part, 9 tackles for loss. Kentucky all week was saying, hey, we got to get ahead of the sticks. Second and manageable, third and manageable, we want to pull the upset. Well, when you're in 2nd and 12 and 3rd and 10 against this Alabama defense, good luck. And, I look at this Alabama team and the true freshman, Caleb Downs, the safety. Oh, my God, guys, he's going to be an absolute problem in the next couple of years. Kirby Smart's got to be pissed that he let him get out of his backyard. He had another sack and a half, or a half a sack on Saturday. He led the team with 7 tackles. He's got 80-some on the year I saw today. And then on the ground, they had 159 yards. So they're just kind of getting better each week. It's classic Saban style, and who knows? They might not be the team this year. Oh, but boy, watch out for next year. Because they're going to get a receiver or 2 in the portal, and Saban might be holding that trophy up again next year.
Did you see Saban after the LSU game? There's a receiver that transferred from Alabama to LSU.
Yeah, I did see that.
You'd be playing a lot more here, a lot more for us than you would be
there.
Oh, that's awesome. Just does not care.
But that is, this might be Nick Saban's best coaching job. Everybody said they were dead after the Texas loss, but they've just found ways to win and found themselves in familiar territory. And, I don't know if I'm not saying, I think Alabama still wins, but we also thought 2 years ago Alabama would roll into Auburn and roll them. And we ended up having an overtime game. So you never know. That I think that game might be a little bit closer than what people think. But it's my time for my college football team of the week here.
Oh, boy.
And it's the Michigan Wolverines. Now, there was a whole lot of pomp and circumstances going in. There were a lot of people that were saying, these sign-stealing things, Michigan isn't going to be able to win, beat a good team without it. They're going into Happy Valley. And then this coward, this pathetic excuse of a man, Tony Petitti, a.k.a. the Big Ten commissioner, just decides to suspend Harbaugh without any due process. There's zero evidence that Harbaugh had any knowledge of or any involvement of this alleged scheme that's going on.
You saw the evidence?
He's never spoken to Harbaugh, or he's never even spoken to Connor Stallions, former Marine. Thank you for your service, Connor. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to those who have all served, and suspended him because the Big Ten are a bunch of cowards who are sick, who are just made up of a bunch of poverty programs, who are just mad that Michigan's just gotten better the last two after the COVID year and kicked the Big Ten's ass the last 2 years, 2.5 years. And Michigan said, you know what? We don't care. We're going to go and we're going to just put our nuts on the table and we're going to rub it all over that Nittany Lion mask logo at midfield. We're going to run the ball for 32 straight times, and there's nothing you can do. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball, and you can't stop it. 5 yards a carry. And you know what? They go into Happy Valley, get a 24-15 win. And you know what? That's just a preview of what's coming, because Ohio, you better be ready, because you brought this on yourself, and you better not be crying like a bunch of little girls like you did the last 2 years when it happens.
You done yet?
Yep.
Okay. I felt like he was just getting started.
I've got more. I'm saving more. We've got bigger games ahead. And
Ethan, if I have one thing to say, that was him being arrogant and pompous after 2 straight Big Ten titles. Could you imagine if Michigan gets to Ohio State's level and wins like 7 in a row?
I know.
I'm not going to be able to talk to this guy.
It's a good thing it won't happen because John Harbaugh is going to get fired here soon.
Oh, that would be Jim, their partner.
Same thing.
John is in Baltimore.
Bozo, whatever it is now. Yeah. He's irrelevant, so it's fine.
And this is only going to make – they thought they could tear this team apart, but that's only making them stronger.
I will say
like this. Like I said, we're coming Ohio.
I will say this. If they were going to get rid of the TRO, they probably would have done it on Saturday. So I don't know how that hearing is going to go Friday, because what's the point of waiting if you're going to approve it?
And here's my thing. With Ethan, with that TRO, Harvey Specter would have had that on the table Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
Yep.
He would have been on the sideline.
And it was there. It was on the table.
It was on the table. So
you tell me, there's obviously something there holding the judge back from allowing this, who, by the way, is a Michigan grad.
Well, they wanted to have a hearing. That's what I get.
They had a hearing.
Oh, because the hearing's Friday. The hearing is Friday.
They moved it because they didn't decide on it on Saturday before the game. They had the hearing. They just didn't make a ruling.
So here's so what I'm gathering is this: Michigan has a shitty lawyer.
Yeah,
it could. Very well.
They need Harvey Specter, the best closer in the game.
Yep.
Who's Harvey Specter?
Oh God, watch Suits.
He's the main character in Suits.
Gotcha.
He's very good at his job.
He's a pompous, arrogant, handsome lawyer.
He's Michael Jordan's lawyer.
He's Michael Jordan's lawyer. Yeah. Fun fact.
Oh wow.
You. Yeah. The big rich people in New York who we would hate. He's one of those guys.
Oh, gotcha.
But hey, when you're a good-looking lawyer and you can live like that and you have a ridiculous-looking condo, power to you.
Yep.
What can I say?
Right. But let's go back to our NFL Week 11 game of the week here, and I'm going to get it started right away. Thursday night, Bengals Ravens. Both teams coming off a loss. The Bengals need this one a little bit more. I would almost put this in a must-win category for the Bengals after the egg they laid against the Texans here. But the Ravens also coming off a loss. They're going to be hungry to avenge it after what was blowing a 2-touchdown lead. Something you don't see the Ravens, a Ravens team do very often, especially under John Harbaugh, who's been there for. That's wild to think. He's got to be approaching almost 20 years as head coach for the Ravens.
I think it's like 15 or 16.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. And
it was 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. And can the Bengals, can they protect Joe Burrow? Are they going to be able to find a run game against a very stout Ravens defense who are going to be playing with their hair on fire after giving up a 2-touchdown lead the week before? We're going to find out. So that Bengals Ravens is my NFL Week 11 game of the week.
Well, and I saw, guys, Baltimore, they're wearing their all black uniforms.
Oh,
those are nice.
It's going to be spicy.
They might be saying nevermore.
That is correct. If you've seen The Wire, when the Ravens come on the field, Dylan, you might hear a bunch of Cincinnati people referring to Roquan Smith as Omar. Omar's coming. Omar's coming. Watch out. But for me here, surprise, surprise, guys, my game of the week, I'm going Monday night. Philadelphia goes to Kansas City. Two best teams in the league based just off record. I used to throw Detroit in there too. Super Bowl 57 rematch. Both teams are coming off their bye. Both teams should be healthier. It's the last game of the week. It's going to be absolutely electric. There in Arrowhead, and both teams can almost maybe put Kansas City could kind of put clamps down on the division if they can get to 8-2. And Philadelphia, they keep the pressure on Dallas. If they win, they get to 9-1. And the Eagles, they got a tough stretch here with this schedule. I don't know the exact order, but I know the teams. It's Kansas City, it's Buffalo. They got Seattle in there, Dallas again, San Francisco. This is a big 5-game stretch for the Eagles. And then after this, Chiefs' schedule there's some wins on there. So can they handle their business? Can they get to 8-2? And then you got games against Las Vegas, Green Bay, I think Buffalo, and then the Bengals coming up towards the end of the year, and then also the Patriots for the Chiefs. But after the bye week, did Andy and his coaching staff kind of figure out some cohesion on offense? I'd like to see him run the ball a little more, but this week against those Eagles defensive tackles, that might not be the play, but I think it's going to be an electric and awesome Monday night game. It's going to come down just like the Super Bowl, the last possession. So Chiefs, Eagles, my game of the week. It's a pretty easy one.
I'm going, instead of Monday night, I'm going to Sunday night. I'm going Vikings Broncos. I think this is probably the most intriguing matchup of the weekend. Got the red hot Vikings running off those Dobbs fumes, 5-game win streak. And you got Denver, who I don't know if I would say is a good team, but they're playing better. Their defense is really what's carrying them at this point. Offense is still very much a work in progress. It's going to be crazy. You don't know what to expect from Dobbs. He hasn't, I don't think, faced a defense that's quite this good. Who knows? Maybe he plays like he did in the first half. Maybe he plays, or the offense plays like they did in the second half. You never know what the hell you're going to get with the Vikings. And then Russell Wilson, you don't know what the hell you're going to get with him either. So it could have an absolute god-awful Russell that we've seen for half the year, or the guy that kind of looks like he knows what he's doing. So a lot of intrigue, a lot of just unknowns going into this game. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That was also a game I had circled here. Is the both teams they're fighting for playoff position, and Ethan, you nailed it. That the Broncos defense is kind of coming back from what they were last year a little bit. Russell Wilson, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be like 2018, 2019 Russ that we saw, but I think as they're playing, Sean Payton's done a really good job of just playing complementary football, running the ball well. The offensive line has improved, and just getting them in spots where they, getting them in spots to succeed and find ways to pull out wins, whether it be against the Broncos or the Bills.
Well, they are the Broncos, and they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But Ethan's point, the last 9 games, I think the Broncos have forced 9 turnovers. Anytime. No, the last 2 games. I'm sorry, the last 2 games.
I said
2 games.
9 games.
I think I messed it up and had the 9 turnovers as 9 games. But
got it.
In their last 2 games against the Chiefs and Bills, 5 turnovers they forced against Kansas City, and then 4 on Monday night. You're going to win a lot of games when you're when you're doing that. I don't care who you're playing. You could be playing the 92 Cowboys. You turn them over 4 times, you're going to win that football game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ethan, you're right. It's like you can tell they're better under Sean Payton than Nathaniel Hackett, but they're still not a good team or a great team, but
they're not like explosive
they're
at
not
all.
No, but they just don't have any explosive players. I mean, Cortland
No,
Sutton.
and like literally the only time they score is when they turn it over. So you don't turn it over, you're going to beat them. Like I think that's as simple as that. I mean, that sounds very easy. Like obviously, less turnovers you have, the more games you're going to win. But I think versus Denver, it's increased that much more.
Well, and to your point, like this year, the 2 times the Chiefs have played them, almost every single score they had was either off of Kansas City turnover or Denver on a punt. They returned it, 40 yards, and the drive started at the KC 45.
It's no different than the Bills game. They never went down the whole field the whole way.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I think almost every scoring drive was probably at or near the 50.
You make Russell Wilson and this Broncos offense go 75 yards, it ain't happening.
Mm-mm.
No.
I guess it's my
yeah. Well, before we do that now, the big news, and Grant was very sad about this, but we talked about it earlier in the show to start it, that Jimbo Fisher was fired here. So let's have just a short discussion on, let's try to solve Texas A&M's problems here. Let's see what we can do. Jimbo Fisher fired, guy who lays up on par 5s.
Par 4s.
Par 4s, par 3s. If it's 130 yards out, he does a 75% swing on his pitch, on his 9-iron, so he can chip on a par 3. And I was hoping somebody was going to mention him as give Texas A&M the team of the week for finally letting Jimbo go for $76 million. I think he gets a lump sum of, I think it was what, $19 million right away, or 60 days since he's been fired, and then another big chunk within like 120 days, and then one day every year he gets $7 million deposited into his account, and there are no like restrictions or anything on it, where if he wants to go and coach again, which I don't know, this guy makes the Bobby Bonilla deal look smart, and but it never worked out. Jimbo did a great job recruiting, but he could never rally the troops.
Hold on. He didn't do a good job recruiting. His boosters did a great job with NIL payments.
Yeah, they bought him.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair.
Saban. When Nick Saban calls you out for buying your recruits, I trust Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of Texas A&M's problem is they have a false idea of who they are. They consider, you ask a lot of these blue bloods, and I actually have a buddy he's from Texas. He's got a relative, I think, sister that went to college at Texas A&M, and I was kind of asking him some questions about it, and shout out Adam if you're listening. But I was asking him, I asked him point blank, do Texas A&M fans have a false sense of who they are? And he said that for the most part, like most normal like A&M fans understand that they are not in that blue blood category, but they spend money, they invested a lot into the facilities, but it's a lot of they haven't won a whole lot. They've won one Big 12 championship. They haven't even made it to the SEC championship game. They've won 3 division titles. In the last one coming in 2010, so I'm guessing in 98 or 97 was the last time Texas A&M won a conference championship. And it's felt like under Jimbo, and more so, and even under Kevin Sumlin, where they really rode Johnny Manziel's coattails, and that was their identity. And they never, after Johnny left, they never really had any established identity of what they wanted to do, or there was no culture at all. I think whoever they hire next they need to go and look at it and be patient with this next coach, which they should be, because having to pay a guy $76 million is, it's going to strap your athletic budget.
I'm pretty sure they're still paying.
They're still paying someone too.
They're paying someone as well.
Coming out of the athletic budget. All of this is coming from the donors.
or
None of this will come out of
boosters,
their
donors.
This is
yeah.
coming from the big Texas money, the
Yeah,
oil
none
money
of this money will
there
actually
in
come from the
southeast
athletic
Texas.
department's
Oh God, no.
revenue or budget.
This is just coming from some rich white guy who thinks, hey, I live in Texas. I'm better than everyone else in the union. I'm worth $300 million. I sent both of my sons to the cult that is Texas A&M University.
So is Dabo the perfect hire then? Because Dabo also kind of seems like to have a
I don't
cult
think
following.
they have
I
the money
think
to hire him. Like
they don't
they're
have
not
no.
gonna be
They
able to go
definitely
very
don't have the
high.
money to hire Dabo.
I'm just saying. I'm saying I'm more so being joking, but Dabo and Texas A&M seem like they both kind of have cult followings, and they would just well, they would be even more insufferable, but
I don't see
it
them
would
going
kind of be fun
over
to
$7
watch.
million a year. I think
You know what?
That's 7.
They couldn't hire Dabo because Dabo doesn't believe in NIL.
That is also true.
He doesn't believe in NIL. They're people from Texas. They think that they're better than us because he can buy $1,500 bottles of bourbon. He wears a cowboy hat and cowboy boots when he's actually never worked on a farm before. So we know how Rip asked him how he got that cowboy hat. And they think, oh hey, and also they wear Adidas. I mean, that's all you need to say. With all this money, they wear Adidas. No, that's disgusting. Adidas sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't belong in college sports. Get it out of here. For God's sakes, you have all this money. Go to Jordan. Go to Nike. Don't wear Adidas. It's awful.
But back to my point is and for a coach that's more about building a culture, establishing an identity. You're going to get him a lot cheaper, and hopefully they give him time to kind of bring them back to somewhat where they aren't just kind of in no man's land. I think they need to go after a guy like a Mike Elko, a Chris Kleiman, a Lance Leipold, a Kalen DeBoer, guys with coaching experience that aren't just big names. They need to go with somebody that's a little bit under the radar.
Well, and here's my thing. Why would any of these guys want to go to Texas A&M?
That's the other part too.
Why?
That's the tricky part, is trying to convince them of that, because
those coaches want to go there.
And those coaches aren't the ones that are blinded and will make decisions strictly off of, I'm going to make more money. They're going to
exactly.
They like where they are. They're happy, content with where they are.
Mm-hmm. And they've built their programs to the image that they like, and they don't want to spend another 4 to 5 years doing that at another job.
Especially when you got boosters breathing down your neck every time you lose a game.
Absolutely.
But all right, now we have that going. So Ethan, back to you for what is your college football Week 12 game of the week?
Well, I'm going back to the Big 12. A lot of weird things have happened at this stadium at night. We're going to Jack Trice. Iowa State, Texas. I think this is going to be a great matchup. I mean, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. You can name all the big teams that Iowa State's knocked off at night in that stadium. Mm-hmm. It's not like Kinnick level dark out, like good at night, but it's a notch below it, and they're freaking good. I'm guessing they'll wear their blackout uniforms. Yeah. I think it's stupid. They probably will wear them.
Yeah, they don't look good in those uniforms.
Yeah, they do. They do. But they're fighting for their lives. Iowa State wins this. You probably have like a 4-way tie right now at the top of the Big 12 standings. At least a 4-way, depending on how the rest of the week goes.
True.
Yeah, and you nailed that, Ethan. That weird things happen in the state of Iowa at night. I'll have my eyes on another game in Iowa. NDSU plays Northern Iowa to close out the year. They win this game. They actually, a lot of people were saying they were for sure playing in Thanksgiving, but they went out and some other things go their way. They actually might find themselves in the 7 or 8 seed, but which will be wild to think. But anyways, the Grant, what do you got circled for your Week 12 game of the week?
I'm debating back and forth. I want to stay in the Big 12, but I never thought I'd say this again, guys. I'm going out west again. It feels like I have just lived in the Pac-12 this year. Washington on the road against Oregon State.
Corvallis.
Or Corvallis. Yeah. Razor Stadium. DJ Uiagalelei has come to life there in Corvallis. Oregon State belongs in the Power 5. I don't care what we have to do, but they are a Power 5 football team. They deserve to be. I don't care if the Big Ten has to have 19 teams or however many they're going to have next year. We need the Beavs.
Smith, culture guy.
Yes, we need the Oregon State Beavers in the Power 5. I mean, they're 11 in the college football rankings, playoff rankings this year.
They're actually favored in this game.
They're favored in this game. They could ruin Washington's national championship aspirations. They could make sure Michael Penix Jr. doesn't get in the Heisman Trophy race, and Oregon State is still technically alive in the Pac-12 to get to the Pac-12 title game. And they got Washington this week, and then they got the Civil War next week against Oregon. And the same thing for Washington. They win this week. They go into the Apple Cup again, undefeated. You're prime position for a college football playoff spot, but then also to get Michael Penix Jr. in New York as a Heisman Trophy candidate. And I'm drawing a blank on this young man's name, but Washington's receiver.
Roma Dunze.
He is not getting enough credit nationally. This guy is an absolute baller. He's a stud. He's going to probably be the second or third wide receiver taken in the next upcoming draft. Back-to-back 1,000-yard season. It's another time for him to be in the national spotlight and say, hey, don't forget about me. But Washington, Oregon State, that's where I'm going to be. That's the game of the week.
Yeah, that was hoping that one was going to get to me, but when you said you were going out west, I was like, yeah, I'm probably not getting this one. So I'm gonna go back to the Big 12, and I'm gonna go to the we got a state championship on the line in the Kansas State game. Both teams are still alive. Some are barely kind of hanging on by a thread, but both teams alive in that Big 12 race. Kansas State had a couple of head-scratching losses. The Oklahoma State one, they lost the Mizzou one, which really is, I guess, long run it didn't, and turns out Missouri's a really damn good team. And looking like a good loss.
Hey, and Missouri's coach, Eli
Drinkwitz.
Culture guy.
Yep, culture guy. Chris Kleiman, culture guy. Leopold. Mm-hmm. Two tremendous coaches. I think this game is just the start of what's going to be a tremendous rivalry. I think Kleiman is going to be a lifer at Kansas State. I think Leipold has been on record. I know what a college coach's word means nowadays. Not a whole lot, but I do believe it just
coach
based off.
Sorry, it's Leopold. I believe him when he says this.
Yeah, just based off of what he's done as far as like his previous stops, whether it be he was at Whitewater forever. He was at Buffalo for quite a while as well. I think Kansas, that is the play. And he's getting up there in age as well. I think that's something else to look for. But I don't know what the situation is with the Kansas quarterback situation. I don't know if Bean's going to be playing or not. But these two teams get together. You know it's going to be hard-hitting. Our offensive coordinator and his two of his boys are going to be at this game in Lawrence, and it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. It's going to be a night game, and I'm very excited to see how this game plays out at 5:00 on FS1. I'm always going to ride with Coach Kleiman, so I'm going to go with Kansas State wins this one somewhere along the lines of. I think Kansas State's defense is a little bit better than Kansas. I think they get a couple of more stops. I think Kansas State baits whoever is at quarterback, because even if it is the third stringer or Bean, both are known to kind of turn the ball over a couple of times. Yeah, Bean's the backup. But I think Kansas State wins 31-19.
So after Saturday, is it officially basketball season at Kansas?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. And that is perfect, Grant. That is absolutely perfect. You nailed it, because we wanted to wait till Ethan got back from his suspension here, and college basketball is underway. And this is our predictions sure to go wrong, but we're going to just give our preseason Final Four teams of who we think is going to be playing in. Where is the Final Four this year?
Phoenix.
In Phoenix. Okay.
Phoenix, baby.
Back at State Farm Stadium. We're going to see who's going to be hanging the or cutting down the nets in the first weekend in April. So I guess since we'll just keep going snake, and then we'll get to curveball of the week. And Ethan, after 2 weeks off, he's going to have a good one, I bet. But my Final Four teams are Kansas, because right now they're the number one team. And like Grant said, basketball season is underway. I watched them last night. And then my second team is going to be Texas A&M. Very talented group in Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams has been close, hasn't quite been able to get over that hump and get into the Final Four. I think this is the year. They've got a senior backcourt, really just a really solid team all around. And then my third team, I'm going to go with another team that has been close. And a team that lost and their season ended way too soon before most people expect. I'm going to go with the Purdue Boilermakers. I think this is the year Matt Painter gets over the hump and makes it to the Final Four. And then my fourth team is we're going to go back to the SEC. And I'm going to go with the Kentucky Wildcats. I think this is more of a John Calipari-led team or type of team where he's going to just listening to some college basketball experts, they've said that it felt like the last few years is where he just was doing too much coaching instead of letting just roll the ball out and letting them play, which has been when Calipari's been at his best team. And it feels like this is going to be one of those teams where he's going to just roll the ball out and let those guys play, let those guys figure it out. They might get off to a little bit of a slow start. He's embraced that the transfer portal. If he can get guys to buy in and keep going, I think this is a year he gets back to the Final Four. I think I've had them as Final Four teams in my bracket or a preseason the last few years. So I'm going to go with Kansas, Texas A&M, Purdue, Kentucky as my Final Four teams.
Yeah, Dylan, if people didn't know you, they'd think you were a Wildcats fan with how often you have them in the Final Four. But I'm with you, dude. I think the one team that we're going to agree on, and the only team we're going to agree on is the Kansas Jayhawks. You bring in Dickinson and Hunter in the offseason, and whenever Bill Self has a big man, that's when his teams are at his best, and he was an absolute animal last night. I know, sure, they only had 4 points off their bench, but they probably have the best starting five in the country right now. So I'm going to go Kansas 1, and then I think the defending champs get back to the Final Four. I'm going to go UConn. I think Bobby Hurley's building something there in Connecticut, and they're just going to keep this thing rolling. And then a second team from the Big East, the team actually I watched last night, the Creighton Blue Jays. I think McDermott's going to get there. They got, the South Dakota State transfer. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Taylor Shireman.
Yep, he's coming back this year for another year. They got that big 7-footer who absolutely dominated Iowa last night. He's going to be a matchup nightmare. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think this is the year they take it over the top. It's kind of a bummer they lost their point guard again, I believe Gonzaga, in the transfer portal. So we'll see how that works because point guards win tournaments in March. But I don't know. That tough Elite Eight loss last year. I think Creighton's going to find a way to get there. And then kind of my wild card team. I love this coach so much, Scott Drew. I'm going to go the Baylor Bears.
Ooh, Baylor making a comeback.
So big Big 12 and Big East guy over here for college basketball.
All right, Ethan, best for last. What do you got?
All right. So I guess that makes us 3 for 3. I'm going Kansas. I do think they're the best team in the country right now. They looked phenomenal last night.
Cross Kansas off. They're not going to the Final Four.
Sorry, guys.
Just like how we all had North Carolina last year.
I'm actually going back with a team that did it last year. It's not UConn. We're
Houston.
going to the Cinderella, Florida Atlantic. We're going back.
I thought about
everyone back.
I thought about them.
Everyone back. Coach.
I thought about them. Yeah.
Third team. I just watched them the other night versus a Big Ten team. Wisconsin. Tennessee. They played Wisconsin. They are literally like an anaconda. They just slowly suck the life out of you defensively. Like they are unbelievable defensively. They have the great point guard. I'm Ziegler, I think his name is. Sophomore, back from his ACL injury from the end of last year. They didn't have him for the tournament run last year and still went as far as they did. And then this is a total, I shouldn't say a joke, but Dylan, I know, has been a homer a couple times now with picking Michigan. Why the hell not? Let's go Minnesota. I mean, who cares? Like, come on. Like, we're 2-0. I'm going to the game tomorrow. Like, Grant's going to the game tomorrow. They're going to beat Missouri.
Who do they play?
Missouri.
Oh.
And the whole, after tomorrow, the whole city's going to be behind them. This is Ben's year. And we're going to do big things. You know, bring back the 97 banner. Fuck them. We did it. We made it. Fuck those tests.
Yeah, that's right. We covered that in the book.
Hey, in Minnesota, it's not Minnesota Gopher football season. It's not hockey season. It's men's basketball season.
It's Gopher basketball season. Yeah.
That's right. And the Gophers are going back.
It's Gopher basketball season, according to Ethan.
Yeah. We're back. We're so back. As if we've ever even been back ever.
Until they beat Wisconsin next week.
No, it doesn't matter.
That'd be what, 3 and 5 years? Well, I'm just
4 and 5.
That'd be 3 straight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Or like 4 and 6.
4 and 6, I think. Yeah.
And if we would have told you at the start of the year, if Minnesota is going to beat Iowa and Wisconsin, they're for sure going to Indianapolis. Would it really be a Minnesota sports team if yeah. Would it be a Minnesota sports team though if that happens?
Yeah, it really would.
And they don't.
It really would.
And somehow still only finish 6-6.
Yeah.
Unless somehow we go and beat Ohio State, which that is not happening. So let's just it's not right now.
Hey, speaking of that, so in April this year, me and 2 others, we put a combined $200 in on a preseason Heisman Trophy pick, and we went Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin's playing better, so these next 3 weeks, I'm gonna need like 1,200 yards and like 6 touchdowns. So
you're playing a great defense for that.
Exactly. So it's a great start this week.
Of course, the 400 up on these guys. Just think what McCord's going to do.
Of course, the rivalry game next week, and then the week after that, the sacrificial lamb on the college football season being the Iowa Hawkeyes, somehow representing the Big Ten West. Without Cooper DeJean, I'm feeling good, boys. We might put a combined $200 into 8,000 in December.
All I'm saying, Grant, is you better hope Minnesota keeps it close enough that he plays the second half, at least the third quarter.
Or he does what he did last week and he gets his 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, it's fine too.
But hey, come on, a combined $200 to 8,000. Come on, Marvin, I need you. Nice. I need you.
But all right, Ethan, what do you got for curveball of the week?
So it's holiday season, obviously. You got to go do some gift shopping.
'Tis the season.
Everyone goes to malls. So you can't use your hometown mall. What is the best mall you've been to?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh. Well, you really made it tough, Ethan. I was really going to pick my hometown mall.
At least Mankato's not that bad.
Yeah, River Hills Mall, it's kind of sad now, but man, 15 years ago, that was the place to be in town.
Yeah, all malls are like that now, sadly.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
We've got a grocery store and a sporting goods store in our mall. That's about the two best things in there.
Oh, and hey,
we do have a Dunham's, yeah.
Hey, Dunham's,
by the way, baby. We cannot use Mall of America in this example.
No, that's just a shithole. No.
Yeah, that's excluded.
Okay.
You don't go there unless you want to get shot.
I don't even know the name of this mall, but it was the first outdoor mall I've ever been to. It was this mall in San Diego. Had it all. And I was just mesmerized by this place is outdoors. What happens if it rains? And I remembered I'm in California and it never rains there. But I thought it was coolest thing I've ever been to. Like, you're walking outside, you go into the stores that are covered, but then outside you're doing some shopping, And that's actually more so I'm just hanging out on a bench waiting for my mom and sister to get done shopping. So
Pretty standard.
So yeah, you can get some steps in. You're doing it outside. You're getting some vitamin D, good sunlight. You know what? I'm going down. We haven't said a lot of nice things about the state of California, so I'm going there. I'm saying nice things about California. I'm going to the San Diego Mall. I don't know what it's actually called, but
Hey, but the one nice thing in California is San Diego.
yes.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think, of the times I've spent in Florida, in Texas, and North Carolina, in the southern part of this country, I really have never gone to a mall. So down there, so I can't use that example like Dylan had, but I'm going to give a little love to Minnesota here. And is it the Southdale? Is that the one in Edina, Ethan?
Yeah.
That Cake Eater.
The Cake Eaters, they did it right.
Are you talking about the Galleria or the Southdale Center?
Center, maybe. It was a place in Edina. That's all I know.
Okay.
They had the Cheesecake Factory is near. They had the Eddie Bauer.
Yeah, that's Southdale Center.
Yeah, Southdale Center. That's the one. They got an Eddie Bauer store. Was it Rojo, the Mexican restaurant, is right there. Just a bunch of other cool, good-looking shops. It's clean on the inside. Back when malls were cool, you enjoyed going there the few times that I did. So I'm gonna go Southdale Center in Edina.
Okay, it's a good one. I'm gonna stay in the Midwest. I'm going to Sioux Falls. We're going to the Empire. We used to go there a lot as kids.
Okay.
My dad's college roommate lives up there, so we always went and visited them. And I mean, we would spend 8 freaking hours at that mall. Like, there's just so much there. I haven't been there in years, so I don't know what's changed, how well it looks now. But I'm telling you, that's the best mall I've been to. Probably in the Midwest for sure.
Hey, man.
Okay.
People moving to South Dakota these days. Must be an underrated state.
Sioux Falls is a great town.
No state income tax.
Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls, great. Sioux Falls, great city.
So, all right. Well, we got that. That pretty much wraps up episode 104 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We'll have the segments of the show out on Friday. The FCS playoff bracket will be released Sunday, so we'll do a little bit of a preview of that as well when that comes out. We'll segments of the show, like I said.
Sharpie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is pretty much. And Brawl of the Wild game is this weekend too. That's always a fun game to watch. But well, check us out. Follow us on all of our social medias. Three Guys Talking Ball Podcast, 3GTB Podcast, and we'll be back to either brag about our predictions or more than likely sulk and talk about how terrible our predictions are off and you shouldn't listen to us. But we thank you guys for listening to us every week. We'll talk to you next time.